So how do you know if your query isn't working? I mean, you're getting rejections, but maybe it just wasn't a right fit. So what if the query letter is good, but that just wasn't a good agent? But what if the query letter is what made them reject it? But what if... I think it's time to get some help. Hi, I'm MK Williams. I'm an author and I love sharing my insights about all things publishing with you. Before I get into the details about today's video, don't forget to hit subscribe. You'll be notified each week as I put out new videos about publishing, making a career to being an author, and now being a mompreneur. So I mentioned in my last video that was all about my query process updates, like updates from the querying trenches, about how I stopped querying after February 13th of 2023. And then I revised my query package after that first round of 24 queries. That first round did result in 2 full requests. Now, again, at the time that I'm recording this, I'm still waiting for a response on that second full request. If I have an update and it goes live, I will put it here. Hello. So I do have updates. I also look like I'm reporting live from the scene. I had some microphone issues before recording this update. But so there are updates. So I had that very first agent back in February, within like 3 days of starting to do queries. They requested the full. They came back a couple days later, said no. So that one's been a no for a while now. The second agent who requested the full has had the manuscript for over 30 days now. And then there was another agent who came in a couple weeks ago and asked for the full. So I've had a total of 3 full requests. 1 has already said no, and 2 are still open and pending. So I'm excited about that. I'm trying not to read too much into it as far as, yes, I'm definitely going to get an agent. I'm definitely going to get a deal. And also not trying to just be so down on myself. Like, no, don't count anything. Like, I'm just trying to stay like middle of the line, even keel about it. Now the first agent who's had the manuscript for over 30 days, I did send like a very polite nudge last week and I was so terrified. And I'm so glad that I had it on my calendar and that I told my husband I was going to do it because I was so nervous. I was totally going to chicken out. And he was like, just ask, like, it's just a polite nudge. Like, hey, you've had this for a bit. If you're still considering, that's great. Just wanted to check and also to make sure you have the file, if like maybe that's a reason I haven't heard from you. So I was so nervous to send it. And I was like, I'm afraid I'm going to send it because then I'm afraid they're going to say, yeah, it's a pass, which was just so nerve wracking. And he was like, but then you know for sure and you can move on. And so I was super nervous to send it. I did send it and I sent it first thing in the morning. And then when I had my afternoon work session while my daughter was napping, I saw like the name query tracker from the agent's name. And I was like, oh no, this is it. And I opened it and they just said, yes, I've got it. And, I'm still actively working through all the queries I received. I respond to every single query. Don't worry. And I think just seeing those words, don't worry, I was just like, oh, she gets it. Now this agent is also an author, so I know she gets it on multiple levels. But it did make me feel better. Like it wasn't a no. It was honestly the best answer I could have gotten in that situation. And except for, yes, I read it. I loved it. Sorry, I meant to tell you I want to make you an offer. Like that would not have been the case. So I think it was the best outcome in that situation where I was just dreading it. So I'm glad I followed up. But yes, the manuscript is still outstanding with 2 agents that have the full manuscript. And I'm still waiting to hear back from other agents as to whether they want to take a look. So again, I'm trying to be optimistic, but not too optimistic. I'm just trying to stay even keel, middle of the line. So that's the update. All right, back to the video. Okay. Now I didn't send out those initial 24 queries all at once. I had tiers of agents that I was planning to use who used Query Manager and were responding quickly, like a 1 to 2 day turnaround quickly. So what's really great about the agents who use Query Tracker is I can see all the queries I get, like not the actual query, but the genre, the length, if it was responded to with Query Tracker Premium. So for the first 7 or so agents that I queried, I could see that 5 of those agents skipped my query. So this could mean 2 things, that it either got lost in the ether of the internet, or that they liked the query letter, maybe it piqued their interest, and that they were saving the sample pages to go back and read later. So which certainly leads to like more obsessive checking as I can see if they're working through their like maybes or their skips. And I'm just like, okay, maybe tomorrow's and they'll get to mine. Again, just like guessing, it makes me feel like I have more control, but I'm just guessing. So after those first 7 queries, of which like one of them asked for the full manuscript, I had a good idea that my query letter was like good, right? Maybe not great, but good. So I sent out a few more queries based on the response rates and started to see more skips. But ultimately, those agents ended up passing on the query. So the query letter was still getting me a skip or a maybe, but not good enough to catch their attention in the sea of queries. Or maybe like it was just the sample pages weren't landing. Maybe there's a disconnect between what I was selling in the query letter and what they were reading in the pages. Maybe it just didn't grip them enough. So I started to get the sense that the sample pages were maybe where I was losing them. Again, not sure. Nobody told me that, but just starting to look at the data that way. So as more of the longer response time rejections came in, again, rejection sucks, but it's better than silence. I was a little daunted about the idea of sending out more queries because maybe nothing was wrong and it just wasn't the best fit for those agents. Maybe I misspelled my own name and there was some other like glaring error I just couldn't see because I was too deep in the weeds with it. And maybe it was, I don't know, like it was so many things and I was just like, I don't want to keep sending out the same thing when I don't feel confident in it anymore. Like I think there could be a disconnect. So in one of our weekly catch-ups, Jason, my husband, has been featured on the channel many times. He's amazing. He's my CFO. He's my number one fan. And he's like my business consigliere. Like we talk about these things. And so he asked me how the querying was going and was I going to be sending out more and testing the strategy? Because I talked about the strategy with him of like looking at the data and kind of testing. So I expressed my doubts and concerns and I said, well, I think this is where the issue could be, but I obviously think this is ready to go. Like I don't have any issue with it. And so I don't know where else to fix it right now. So he asked me if there was a coach or somebody who could help beyond my critique partners, beyond my alpha and beta readers who had already read it and given their feedback. And so as fate would have it, I had been corresponding with Alyssa. Now, I did a video collaboration with Alyssa earlier in the year, so I'm going to link to her channel below and the videos we did together. But she had just like reached out to me that week, just like check in. And I said, actually, there is somebody who does coaching, and it's Alyssa, who I've been working with. And so she does exactly that. So we looked at her packages right then about query letter reviews, sample page reviews, things like that. And I reached out to her that night about working together. Now she reviewed my sample pages and my query letter. Her slogan for her coaching business is "Your Story Stronger." And I don't think that could be a better fit to describe what she does. So she provided edits to really just tighten up the query letter where I thought, okay, my query letter is pretty good. But like when she sent it back, I was like, it's literally what I said, but you just made it sound better. So that was great. And just really tightening it up, moving a few things around. So it's literally my words, they're just in a different order and they sound better. And then she looked through the sample pages as well. And so that was really great. So I didn't feel like she told me I had to totally revise everything. Like it still sounds like my voice and my words. So that was really great. And she had some really good tips for the sample pages that didn't involve, again, like a total rewrite. There were some very strategic revisions and moving some text around. And now I look at it, I'm like, oh, this looks better now. And it was just something I couldn't see because I was just too close to it. So part of her package is 2 rounds of revisions on the query letter. So I actually just sent that to her this morning, the revised query with some questions of like what to include or not to include in the bio section. So I'm planning to start the second round of queries once I've incorporated that next feedback and see how that goes. Having a professional give this a look after the critique partners helped to shape it is giving me a lot of confidence going into round 2. Unless I get an offer in the meantime, in which case I'm still happy. So that'd be great. Now, I wanted to share my experience on working with Alyssa. So first of all, she doesn't know that I'm even making this video, but I wanted to talk about having that testing mindset on my query package and knowing when it was time to ask for help, because I'm guessing a lot of other authors in the querying trenches feel the same way. Like you can only revise and revise and revise this very short letter so many times before you just go bonkers, like moving things back and forth, or you just feel like I think I'm clearly conveying it, like what's not coming across, because we just get too close to it. And I obviously believe in working with coaches, like I am a coach. And so Alyssa did a really great job communicating. She was on time with her deliverables and she's very encouraging. And I want to say like, that's the best you can ask for from a coach, right? So I want to say all these great things about the work I did with her before I sent out more queries, because maybe I end up not getting an agent. Dear universe, I am not manifesting that. We are still manifesting getting the agent, getting a book deal, selling the film and TV rights, okay? Got it? So I wanted to say, all these great things about working with her before, whatever the final outcome is, because the success I'm measuring and working with Alyssa is how much more confident I feel going into the next round of queries, and that these revisions match kind of the data that I'm seeing. So she can't guarantee any results because the industry is subjective and each agent is making their own decisions. But she can and she has made me, her client, feel more confident. So I'm going to have a link for you to check out Alyssa's channel and her services below, because as of right now, like, I'm feeling very confident going into this next round that, like, I've done everything I can. I have not left a single stone unturned in trying to put my best foot forward for this book to get it into a traditional publishing deal. What have you been doing to test and modify your query package? Are you at a point where you just feel like each query is moot before you even send it because you're just feeling like, I don't know what to fix? What indicators are you looking at in Query Tracker to help inform any revisions? Again, like, I'm sharing and being so vulnerable about my rejections here. So any love for this video in the forms of likes, subscribes, thanks is much appreciated. And now you can get back to writing your book.